Okay, so get ready for this one.
Okay.
We are diving into a story about a 90-year-old woman
Wow.
who gets a shot at maybe not love, but definitely something interesting.
Mm.
It's all about second chances and hidden admirers and journeys to places
Right.
that feel both familiar and completely new.
That's a really fascinating premise.
Right.
To explore those themes through the lens of someone who's lived a very full life
Yeah.
and has experienced heartbreak
Yeah.
and might just be ready for a plot twist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The source material for this deep dive is a fictional work.
Okay.
It's called Withered Musings.
Withered Musings.
And trust me, the protagonist is
Yeah.
anything but withered.
All right.
She's a successful writer,
Good for her.
going by the pen name Laura Larone,
Pen name Laura Larone.
and she's about to get swept up in an adventure that really makes you think about how we define ourselves
Okay.
at any age.
I like that.
You know, what I find particularly interesting
Yeah.
is this initial resistance we see from the protagonist.
Okay.
You know, she's clearly guarded,
Yeah.
almost expecting disappointment.
Hmm.
There's this one quote that really struck me.
Okay.
She says, "Olds meant tired, and I was certainly tired of deception from men."
Wow.
I know, right?
Yeah, that line really hits hard.
It does.
It makes you wonder what she's gone through to reach that level of cynicism.
Right.
Is it simply her age, or are there deeper scars from past relationships?
That is the question, isn't it? I mean, it really makes you curious about her journey to becoming Laura Larone, the successful writer.
Yeah.
Was writing her escape?
Mhm.
Was it her way of processing these difficult experiences?
That's an insightful observation.
Right.
Perhaps writing was her outlet.
Yeah.
You know, her way of creating beauty and meaning out of pain.
Yeah.
And it's through her writing that this unexpected admirer enters the picture.
Oh, right. I almost forgot about him with
Okay.
all this talk about heartbreak and you
Yeah.
know, all that stuff.
Well, so before we get to the mysterious admirer,
Okay.
there's another character we need to talk about.
All right.
Mira,
Mira.
the protagonist's best friend.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Now, Mira's recently married, and her husband is where things get a little, shall we say, out of this world.
Out of this world. Interesting.
So Mira's husband, Rali,
Right.
is from the Nori,
Nori.
an alien race formerly known as the Nelnoranthians.
Well, Nornranthians.
And just like that, we are thrown into a world
Oh.
where interstellar relationships are a thing,
Okay.
adding a whole new layer of complexity to this story.
I'm intrigued.
But wait, Nelnoranthians.
Yeah.
That name sounds vaguely familiar.
Uh-huh.
Is there something more to them than just being an alien race?
There are some hints of a deeper history there.
Okay.
I mean, the fact that they've changed their name suggests a rebranding, maybe?
Right.
Possibly even a shift in their relationship with humans? It makes you wonder what their past interactions were like.
And if that history might play a role in this story.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I'm getting some serious rival vibes here.
Interesting.
You know that movie where the way you perceive time and language influences how you interact with these other beings,
Yeah,
right?
right.
So how does Mira's alien husband connect back to our protagonist
Okay.
and her potential admirer,
Well, Raleigh has a son named Dmitri,
Dmitri?
and he's the one who's become captivated by the protagonist's writing.
Okay.
He's described as a bit of a recluse, which makes this sudden interest even more intriguing.
So, okay, let me get this straight.
Yeah.
We've got a 90-year-old successful writer,
Uh-huh.
best friend, married to an alien,
Right.
and now an admirer
Yep.
who is also the son of said alien.
A lot.
This is already more complicated than my dating life. But
Uh.
why hasn't Dmitri just,
Yeah.
reached out to her directly?
Yeah.
What's with all the secrecy?
That's where the mystery deepens. We know Dmitri is drawn to her writing,
Okay.
specifically the work she co-authored with Mira
Right.
under their pen name, Laura Larone.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a hesitancy there on his part,
Yeah.
like a reluctance to approach her directly.
So it's not just about the writing itself.
Right.
There's something more to his fascination.
Exactly.
Maybe he's drawn to the persona she's created
Uh-huh.
through her words.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's something a little more intangible,
Yeah.
like a sense of shared experience or worldview
Right.
that he picks up on in her writing.
It makes you wonder what he sees in her work that others might miss.
Yeah.
Is it her wit or her wisdom or something deeper, something that speaks to his soul?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
It reminds me of how we sometimes connect with art.
Yes.
on a level we can't quite explain.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's a resonance there,
Yeah.
the sense of recognition that goes beyond the surface.
I think that connection,
Yeah.
that spark of recognition,
Yeah.
seems to be at the heart of this story.
Okay.
Dmitri's captivated by something
Right.
he perceives in the protagonist, even though they haven't actually met.
Right.
And this brings us to the crux of the situation,
Okay.
the offer.
Okay. Here's where it gets really interesting.
All right.
So Dmitri wants to meet her.
He does.
But there's a catch, right?
There's a...
He hasn't approached her directly.
Right.
And the whole thing feels a bit cloak and dagger.
Yes.
What's the deal with that?
Well, it seems Mira is acting as the intermediary here.
Okay.
Orchestrating this potential meeting
Mm-hmm.
between her friend and her stepson.
Okay.
And the way it's described, there's a sense of urgency,
Right.
a need for discretion, almost like there are forces at play that we, as readers, aren't fully aware of yet.
Oh, that definitely adds another layer of intrigue.
Yeah.
We've talked about the protagonist's weariness and her past experiences, but I'm curious about how she's reacting to all of this. Yeah. Is she even open to meeting Dmitri after everything she's been through?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
We see her initial resistance.
Right.
That guardedness that comes from years of protecting your heart.
Right.
But there's also a flicker of something else there.
Okay.
A hint of curiosity.
Hmm.
Perhaps even a longing for something more than the life she's settled into.
It's like she's standing at a crossroads.
Yeah.
Facing this choice between the comfort of her familiar routine and the risk of stepping into the unknown.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well,
Is she leaning one way or the other at this point?
it's hard to say for sure,
Okay.
but there are clues that suggest she might be more open to this than she initially lets on.
Interesting.
We see her confiding in Mira,
Okay.
sharing her doubts and fears, which suggests a level of trust and vulnerability
Right.
that she might not extend to just anyone.
That's true.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder if Mira's recent happiness,
Okay.
her marriage to Rali, is playing a role in all this.
Interesting.
Maybe seeing her best friend find love,
Yeah.
even with someone from a different planet,
Yeah.
has sparked a glimmer of hope in the protagonist's heart.
That's an intriguing thought.
Right.
Perhaps Mira's joy has become a beacon, reminding the protagonist that connection, even unexpected and unconventional connection,
Right.
is still possible even at her age.
It makes you think about how the people we surround ourselves with can influence our own outlook on life,
Absolutely.
especially when it comes to matters of the heart.
Yeah.
So where do we leave off
Wow.
with the protagonist and her big decision?
That's what we're left to ponder at the end of this first section.
Okay.
The stage is set, the characters are in place,
Right.
and the air is thick with anticipation.
The suspense.
We know Dmitri wants to meet her,
Yeah.
but the final decision rests with the protagonist.
Right.
Will she embrace this opportunity
Yeah.
or retreat back into the familiar comfort of her solitude?
I need to know what happens next.
Oh.
But before we get ahead of ourselves,
Okay.
let's take a step back
Right.
and really unpack what we've learned about the protagonist so far.
Okay.
What stands out to you about her character and the challenges she's facing?
What strikes me is her resilience.
Okay.
She's 90 years old,
Yeah.
has experienced her share of heartbreak,
Right.
and yet there's a spark within her that hasn't been extinguished.
That's a good point.
She's guarded, yes,
Yeah.
but she's also intelligent, insightful,
Yeah.
and clearly capable of deep feeling.
She's not just a stereotype of a lonely old woman.
Right.
She's a complex individual
Yeah.
with a rich inner life.
Uh-huh.
And I think that complexity is what makes her so compelling.
Absolutely.
And it's also what makes me want to know more about her decision
Yeah.
and what awaits her on this potential journey
Yeah.
to meet Dmitri.
Me too.
This first section has raised so many questions.
Right.
And set the stage for what promises to be a fascinating exploration of second chances, unexpected connections,
Yeah.
and the enduring power of the human heart.
It really has.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Okay, so.
It's incredible how Withered Musings weaves together this personal journey of this 90-year-old protagonist
Right.
with bigger questions about what draws people to each other.
Yeah.
It's not just a romance.
It's not.
It's a reflection on connection itself.
I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
This admirer Dmitri
Yeah.
He's drawn to her through her writing.
Right.
It's not about her looks.
Right.
It's not even about her age. It's something deeper. Something he sees in her words.
And that's what I find so fascinating. It makes you wonder, what is it about her writing that speaks to him so powerfully?
Right.
What does he see in her that maybe others miss?
It's like those times you read a book and feel like the author just gets you.
Yes.
Like they've peered into your soul. Dmitri must feel that way about the protagonist's work.
I think you're onto something there.
Yeah.
It's about finding that resonance, that connection with another person's thoughts and feelings, even if it's through the written word.
So we left off with the protagonist facing this big decision.
Yes.
Will she meet Dmitri? Or won't she?
Yeah.
It sounds like she's leaning towards yes.
Right.
But there's still that hesitation.
Yeah.
You know, that fear of being hurt again.
Absolutely.
Especially at that age.
Yeah.
When you might feel like you've seen it all.
And that's where the story really dives into the complexity of second chances.
It does.
Can you open yourself up to love and connection after experiencing loss and disappointment?
Right.
Especially at that age.
Yeah.
When you might feel like you've seen it all.
Right. And maybe she's internalized this idea.
Yeah.
That romance is for younger people.
It would be surprising, would it?
No.
I mean, our society often sends the message that aging equals irrelevance, especially when it comes to romantic love.
Yeah.
But Withered Musings seems to be challenging that very notion.
Yeah, it really does.
And it's not just the protagonist who's facing this internal conflict.
Right.
We also get a deeper glimpse into Dmitri's character in this section.
Okay.
He's described as kindly, but very suspicious.
Kindly, but very suspicious.
It's an interesting juxtaposition, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Kindness coupled with suspicion.
Right.
It suggests a certain guardedness,
Mm.
perhaps even a vulnerability that he's trying to protect.
And remember, his father is Rali,
Yes.
who belongs to this alien race.
No.
The Nori, formerly known as the Nelnoranthians.
Right.
We were speculating earlier about their history with humans.
Yeah.
Could Dmitri's suspicious nature stem from that?
It's definitely a possibility.
Right.
If there's been conflict or mistrust between the Nori and humans in the past, it would make sense for Dmitri to be cautious,
Right.
especially when approaching a human that he admires.
Yeah, it's like he's carrying the weight of his people's history on his shoulders. He wants to connect with the protagonist,
Yeah.
but also has to be mindful of the potential consequences, both personally and for his race.
And that adds a whole other layer of complexity to their potential relationship.
It does.
It's not just about two individuals overcoming their personal baggage.
Right.
It's about navigating the intricacies of interspecies relations.
Right.
And the legacy of past conflicts.
Wow, this is getting deep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've got this complex backdrop of personal history,
Right.
societal expectations, and interspecies dynamics.
Right.
And in the midst of all that,
Yeah.
the protagonist has to make her decision.
And why?
And you know what?
What?
She chooses to embrace the unknown.
She does.
She decides to meet Dmitri.
Yes.
I know.
I was so relieved when I got to that part.
I bet.
It felt like a victory,
Yeah.
not just for her, but for anyone who's ever felt held back by their age or past heartbreak.
It's a testament to her courage
Yeah.
and her willingness to take a chance on something new,
Right.
even if it means risking potential disappointment.
Yeah. It's like she's saying, yes, I've been hurt before, but I'm not going to let that define me.
Right.
I'm still open to life, to love, to connection.
It's inspiring, isn't it?
It is.
To see someone at that stage of life,
Yeah.
choosing to step outside their comfort zone, to embrace possibility instead of fear.
And I think it speaks to the power of friendship as well.
It does.
Remember, Mira's happiness seems to have played a role in the protagonist's decision.
Absolutely.
Seeing Mira find love, even with someone from a different planet,
Right?
must have given the protagonist a sense of hope.
Yeah.
A reminder that love can blossom in unexpected places, even when you least expect it.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
It is.
How one person's joy can rekindle the flame of hope in another.
Right.
It speaks to the interconnectedness of our lives.
Yeah.
How our experiences can ripple outwards and impact those around us.
So the decision is made.
Yeah.
She's going to meet Dmitri.
She is.
Do we get any details about the meeting itself?
Well,
Like, where is it taking place?
remember how the text mentioned a location the protagonist has visited before,
Yes.
but will experience in a new way?
Yes.
It's deliberately vague,
Right.
adding to the mystery and anticipation.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
It's like a symbolic journey.
It is.
Not just to a physical location, but also to a new understanding of herself.
Right.
And what's possible for her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It suggests a transformation is about to occur.
Okay.
A shift in perspective that will allow her to see things with fresh eyes.
Right.
And maybe that's the point. True connection requires us to step outside our familiar routines and embrace the unknown.
Speaking of the unknown, we get those tantalizing glimpses into this futuristic setting, floating lifts and advanced technologies. It's not just a love story. It's a sci-fi adventure.
It's like Withered Musings is blurring the lines between genres.
It is.
Blending the personal and the cosmic.
Right.
The intimate and extraordinary.
And I love how the protagonist's choice of clothing reflects that blend.
Oh, yeah.
She's described as wearing a floor-length black bohemian dress with gold embroidery.
Interesting.
It's both elegant and timeless.
Yeah.
Like a statement of her individuality and her willingness to embrace this new experience on her own terms.
It's like she's saying, I'm not trying to fit into anyone's expectations of what a 90-year-old woman should look or act like.
Exactly.
I'm embracing my own unique style, my own sense of self.
And maybe that's what Dmitri finds so irresistible about her. It's not just her writing, it's her confidence, her spirit, her willingness to be fully herself, wrinkles and all.
It makes you think about what truly makes a person captivating, doesn't it?
It does.
Is it their physical appearance?
Right.
Their accomplishments? Or something more profound?
Yeah.
Something that emanates from their very being?
That is the question.
It is.
And I think Withered Musings is inviting us to consider that it's the latter, you know?
Yeah.
True connection goes beyond the superficial.
Right.
It's about recognizing something special in another person, something that speaks to our soul.
Yeah.
Even if it defies societal norms or expectations.
And that's what makes this story so compelling.
It really is.
It's not just a romance.
Right.
It's an exploration of human connection in all its complexities and contradictions.
Right.
It's about challenging our assumptions about age, love, and what's possible in the later chapters of life.
Okay.
So we've covered the protagonist's decision,
yes,
Dmitri's motivations, and even gotten a taste of this futuristic setting.
Right.
But the big question remains.
What is it?
What happens when they finally meet?
I need to know. That's the cliffhanger
It is.
we're left with at the end of this section.
Right.
The stage is set. The anticipation is palpable.
Yeah.
And we're eager to see how this encounter unfolds.
We are.
Will their connection translate from the written word to real life?
Right.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
I bet.
We've delved into the protagonist's internal struggle, the complex dynamics between humans and the Nourier, and the power of friendship to inspire hope.
Yeah.
Now we're ready for the main event.
Okay.
The meeting that could change everything.
And that's where we'll pick up in the next part of our deep dive.
Ooh.
Get ready to explore the nuances of their encounter.
Okay.
The challenges they face, and the ultimate question.
What's that?
Can love truly blossom between two beings from different worlds?
Right.
Separated by age, experience, and the weight of history.
Okay, so we're back, and I am like practically bursting with curiosity.
I bet.
After all that buildup, the protagonist is finally going to meet Dmitri, the admirer who's captivated by her writing.
It's happening.
I'm dying to know, does this encounter live up to the hype?
It's definitely a pivotal moment in the story.
Okay.
One that forces both the protagonist and Dmitri to confront their expectations.
Right.
And perhaps challenge their preconceived notions about each other.
You know, it's funny because up until now, we've mostly focused on the protagonist's perspective.
Yeah.
We've explored her weariness, her hesitation,
Right.
her gradual opening up to the possibility of something new.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're about to see the other side of the equation.
Okay.
What's going on in Dmitri's mind.
Exactly. And that's what makes this section so intriguing.
Yeah.
We're finally getting a glimpse into his world.
Yeah.
His motivations, his vulnerabilities.
Right.
Remember, he's been described as kindly, but very suspicious.
Right. And we were speculating that his suspicious nature might stem from the history between humans and the Nouriai, his people.
Absolutely.
So what happens when these two finally come face to face? Does that suspicion melt away, or does it create tension?
The text describes the meeting as charged with an odd mix of excitement and wariness. It's like they're both trying to reconcile the image they formed of each other through words with the reality of the person standing before them.
That makes sense. Imagine getting to know someone through letters or emails,
Right.
building up this whole picture in your mind,
Yeah.
and then finally meeting them in person. There's bound to be a sense of both anticipation and apprehension.
Absolutely. And in this case, it's even more heightened.
Right.
Because of the age difference, the cultural differences, and the fact that one of them is, well, an alien.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so the scene is set, a mix of excitement and wariness, a meeting of two worlds.
Right.
Give us the details. What happens next?
Well, the text focuses on a small gesture that speaks volumes about Dmitri's character.
Okay.
He offers the protagonist a shawl, noting that the air is crisp.
Oh.
It's a simple act of kindness, but it reveals a lot about his attentiveness and his concern for her well-being.
That's a great observation. It's like
Yeah.
he's trying to put her at ease to show her that despite his initial suspicion, he's genuinely interested in her comfort and well-being.
Exactly. And I think it challenges our assumptions about him.
It does.
You know, we've been so focused on his suspicious nature
Right.
that we might have overlooked his capacity for warmth and empathy.
It's a reminder that people are complex,
Yes,
that we can't always judge them based on first impressions or preconceived notions.
very true.
So how does the protagonist respond to this gesture?
She's initially caught off guard, but she accepts the shawl with a trembling hand. It's a small detail, but it suggests a vulnerability
Right.
beneath her carefully constructed persona.
Yeah, it makes me think about how we all wear masks to some extent.
We do.
Especially in new situations.
Yes.
You know, we present a certain version of ourselves to the world. But underneath, we're all just human with our hopes and fears and insecurities.
That's so true. And I think that shared humanity is what ultimately allows them to connect as they begin to talk.
Okay.
The text describes their conversation as surprisingly easy. They find common ground in their love of books,
Okay.
their shared experiences of loss, and their appreciation for the beauty of the world around them.
It's like all those barriers,
I know.
age, culture, even species,
It's amazing.
start to fade away as they discover a deeper connection
Right.
based on shared values and interests.
Exactly. And that's where the story really transcends the sci-fi elements
Yeah.
and becomes a reflection on the universal human experience. We all long for connection, for understanding, for that sense of being seen and appreciated for who we truly are.
It reminds me of the quote from Antoine de Saint-Exupéry.
Oh, yeah.
What is essential is invisible to the eye.
I love that.
It's not about the external differences. It's about those unseen connections that bind us together.
And I think that's what Withered Musings is ultimately exploring.
Yeah.
The power of those invisible connections to bridge divides and create something truly special.
Okay, so they're connecting, they're finding common ground.
Right.
But is there a spark? A hint of romance? I need to know.
Well, the text doesn't explicitly state whether or not there's romantic tension,
Okay.
but there are definitely moments that suggest a deepening connection.
Okay.
There's a scene where Dmitri shows the protagonist his favorite view of the city,
Okay.
and the text describes them standing shoulder to shoulder, their gazes fixed on the horizon.
Oh, that sounds pretty intimate.
Yeah.
Even if it's not explicitly romantic, it definitely suggests a sense of closeness, a shared appreciation for beauty and wonder.
And I think that's what makes this story so satisfying.
It does.
It doesn't give us easy answers
Right.
or predictable outcomes.
Yeah.
It leaves us to ponder the nature of their connection, to imagine the possibilities that might unfold.
It's like the author saying, here are the pieces.
Right.
Now you decide what picture they form.
Exactly.
And that's powerful, isn't it?
It is.
It invites us to engage with the story on a deeper level,
Yeah.
to draw our own conclusions about the characters and their motivation.
Absolutely. And I think that's a hallmark of great storytelling.
Yes.
It doesn't spoon-feed us the answers.
Right.
It sparks our imagination and leaves us with questions that linger long after we've finished reading.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Withered Musings,
Yeah.
what are some of the key takeaways that you think will resonate with our listener?
For me, it's the reminder that second chances are always possible, regardless of our age, our past experiences, or even our species.
It's true.
The story challenges our assumptions about what's possible in the later chapters of life
It does.
and invites us to embrace the unknown with a sense of curiosity and wonder.
I love that. It's a message of hope and resilience. A reminder that it's never too late to connect, to grow, to experience the beauty and joy that life has to offer.
And I think it also highlights the power of art to bridge divides and create connections that might otherwise seem impossible.
Right.
Dmitri was drawn to the protagonist's writing, her words.
Right.
And that initial spark led to a meeting that transcended their differences and opened up a world of possibility.
It's a testament to the power of storytelling.
It is.
To the way that words can touch our hearts and minds, even across vast distances and cultural barriers.
And ultimately, I think Withered Musings leaves us with a sense of possibility.
It does.
It doesn't tie everything up in a neat bow.
Right.
It leaves us to imagine what might happen next, to consider the potential for love, connection, and growth that exists within each of us.
This deep dive has been a journey, hasn't it?
It has.
From initial skepticism to a growing sense of wonder, we've explored the complexities of human connection, the power of second chances, and the enduring nature of the human spirit.
It's been a pleasure sharing this journey with you and our listeners.
It has.
We've delved into thought-provoking themes.
We have.
Uncovered hidden layers of meaning.
Yeah.
And hopefully sparked some intriguing conversations along the way.
And if Withered Musings has taught us anything, it's that life is full of surprises.
It is.
So to our listener, we leave you with this.
Okay.
What unexpected connections are waiting for you? What seemingly impossible dreams might yet come true?
Good question.
Embrace the unknown, challenge your assumptions, and never stop believing in the power of the human heart.